Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of a 2-part series on this total kitchen remodel. In part 1, Kenny shows you how he fabricated these countertops. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how we came up with the design and the pour, and then you get to see the final results. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. So now after the fabrication is done, we're gonna get to my favorite part, which is the epoxy and making it beautiful. So what this piece is our focal point of the kitchen. This is the island. We've already done 4 other pieces where those pieces are just the background of what we're gonna do to this piece. But then we're gonna take this piece to the next level by adding a little bit of a copper accent. So guys, if you want to see part 1 where Kenny fabricated these beautiful countertops, check out the link in the description of this video. Okay, so we've mixed up 3 ounces per square foot, and then we mixed a little extra for our accents. This is the leftover in the bucket. It's just the clear, and we're gonna do a thin skim coat. The reason we're doing that skim coat is I want the epoxy to really be able to flow out nicely and over our edges. So this is a really cool job that Kenny and I are doing. The house is a total remodel. They've gutted it, taken down walls, added a whole new kitchen, and they're really having that kitchen be the focal point and gathering point of their house. I'm super excited. We've had this planned for quite a while, and I'm really glad to be able to get it started. So the total kitchen is approximately 100 square feet, and it consists of a big island, which I'm doing here. It also has a buffet and a little area where I believe is going to be their bar. All of the pieces are going to be the same except for this island, which is going to have the copper focal point running through the middle. They love copper, and the reason they've chose this dark color with the copper is the fixtures that they've chosen are accented with copper. Really pretty, so it's going to bring out the copper. We've decided not to put copper in all of the countertops because we really want this island to be the focal point and really kind of stand out. All right, for our background, I have 3 main colors: black, Alumilite brown dye, and also just resin chestnut. Now what I've done is I've taken those 3 colors, and then the brown I've actually split into 2 different cups, and I have a very opaque brown and I have a translucent brown. So all of those are about equal amounts. This is our black. I'm just going to start pouring it very random all over the top, just making sure I have that color spread out over the entire piece. I'll come in now with my dark tinted opaque brown, doing the same thing. I'm just now kind of filling in with that color, kind of the dead space. Make sure that you get plenty of that color next to your edges so that you'll have nice runoff and plenty of material. Now this is my just resin chestnut. It's also a metallic. It is a cream or a paste metallic, unlike the dye. So it's going to be a little more opaque. Same thing. Bring that out. Try not to do a pattern. It's real important that this is all laid down very random. You don't want it to look like striations. Then the last thing I'll come in here with is my light tinted cup, which is the brown opaque dye, but it is very translucent. So by doing 2 different opacities of my brown, I'm building depth. I have less of it, so I'm going to be a little more conservative on where all I put it. Again, making sure I get it all over the surface. You've got plenty of time to work with this. I'm using the Stone Coat Countertop Art Coat. As long as I get it out of my buckets so that I don't get a flash cure, I've got plenty of working time. This is a very, very safe resin made with 100% solids. There's no solvents, no VOCs. As long as I'm working in a nice big environment where I have good airflow, I don't need to wear a respirator. Now with my magic trowel, guys, these are the bomb. This is the bomb diggity here. Love it, love it, love it. All right, I'm a torch. Now by torching, I'm causing that epoxy to become a little more fluid. And now I'm gonna literally just start melding it all together. Very lightly, bringing it over the entire surface. Don't over meld. You just are trying to get your substrate covered. If you over meld at this point, by the time we finish the whole process, your colors are gonna be mixed up too much. So just get it out on the surface. Make sure you bring it over your edge so that you'll start getting some really pretty edges. Don't put a lot of pressure on your squeegee. You just kind of want to do a skipping motion. Once you get your material over to your edge and you melded everything on the top, you can take your hand and rub those edges. Make sure that you take your hand and push that epoxy under the edge. You'll notice in this piece we do a round over on the top and the bottom, 1/4 inch round over on both sides, so that epoxy will roll over and flow down nice and easy. And then it'll also, those drips will go back and they'll form back here and not right along that edge. If you don't router that bottom edge, what'll happen is you'll get a little lip. As that epoxy starts to flow, it'll start to cure and you'll get a little lip right along that edge. This is absolutely stunning. If you want a very simple, dark, gorgeous marbled top, guys, you can stop right now. This is a finish all on its own, but we're obviously gonna go to the next step. But this is absolutely stunning. All right, so this is dark bronze mica powder. We carry it both in our Leslie's Creation line as well as our Polycolor line. All right, mix it all up and then we're just gonna drizzle it. Very random over the top. And this is gonna be where you decide how much of that bronze accent that you want to be on the top. I don't want it to take over my piece, so I'm not gonna put a ton because I wanna be able to see that beautiful background. So for this piece, I actually mixed up way too much. I mixed up about 8 ounces, maybe about 10 ounces, and I probably used 5 of those ounces. So I can always go back if I need more. All right, now the homeowner also wants just a little bit of white ever so often, not a whole lot. So I'm coming in here with white and I'm gonna just drizzle a little bit of that white on there, making sure I get some of that color off the edge. Everything's down. I'm gonna come back and immediately I'm gonna start melding again, being very, very careful not to over meld this. Guys, I don't want too much melding, but I wanna get those striations out so it just looks a little bit more organic. That white's just subtle enough to be a hint, which is exactly what I'm going for. I don't want that white to stick out. It's just a hint. By now, our epoxy is about 20 minutes or so, maybe even 30 minutes old since the time we actually mixed it. So we're really starting to see that it's slowing down. Now I want to come over and create some really cool effects by spritzing it very lightly with 91% isopropyl alcohol. So I've set my sprayer so that it's not a super fine mist, but I don't want big, big drops. And be very, very mindful of how much you put on the surface. Too much alcohol will cause this to run and be very blurry, so I don't want a lot. As I squeeze the trigger, I'm not even squeezing the trigger all the way. It looks like I'm really putting a lot of alcohol, but I'm really not. I'm just barely squeezing. All right, there we go. I'll let this set for just a little bit, and then we'll come back with our next step. All right, so here we go. Adding the copper. I'm a little bit nervous. I always get nervous when I do accents because I want to make sure they look very natural. All right, so I'm going to come just with a little bit first, and I'm just going to kind of map out where I want my big vein to go. So I'm going to have it go across there. I'm going to come on this side. This is such a big piece. All right, so then I'm going to come and have it branch off. You want to be really careful when you're doing these V types of veins that you don't do 90 degree or real 45 degree. It just doesn't look as natural. So try to keep it as natural as possible. All right, the homeowner was really wanting a very bold, big vein. The inspiration photo that she sent me had this huge vein running right through the middle. So here we go. We'll come back and flow it in. I'm going to leave a little bit in the cup just in case I want to add. All right, so I'm going to torch that a little bit. All right, I love this. Now to make it look a little bit more natural, I'm going to run a little bit of a bronze through there just to kind of give it, I don't know, some character, I guess. Come back up here. All right, so I'm gonna let this kind of flow out. Because I'm adding more epoxy to the top, it's gonna try to self-level. So I know this vein is gonna spread. So before I do a lot of manipulating to it, I wanna kind of let it get a chance to spread out. That's gonna give me an idea of actually kind of how much area I have to work with. All right, so now what I'm gonna do to take the real sharp brightness out of this is we're gonna be using a product that I carry now, and it's called Fusion Spray. I absolutely love it. What it is actual mica powder that's been suspended and put into a carrier so that we can put it into a spray can. It's not a spray paint. So it is super important before and during the time that you use this that you shake it often, because what happens are the mica powders have a tendency to sink. So this is black. I'm gonna just kind of come over the top with the black, not a whole lot. I'm just kind of toning it down a little bit. All right, now I'm going to come back in here with the magic trowel, and I'm going to just kind of give this some character. I'm just chopping a little bit, twisting a little bit as I go. I'm making that vein just a little bit wider, and all of those beautiful mica powders are just reacting with each other and with the Fusion spray that I just did. Don't overwork it, just a little bit, because this is going to continue to move. As you can see, I'm just kind of putting it down and slowly twisting it a little bit as I move. Since we chopped, we've got a little bubbles. Come back very lightly. I don't want to add too much heat, because all of that design that I just made, if I add too much heat, is going to totally just kind of move away. All right, so this, whoo-wee, I love this. I love it. But you know me, I have a hard time walking away. Just saying. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get real creative, and I'm just going to kind of drag this copper along that edge of the vein just to kind of give it some artistic, I guess, details. You don't have to do this. I have a hard time stopping, guys. You know that. So just bear with me. This is freaking awesome. So guys, I'm just really not even putting any more epoxy on my stick, just a tiny bit. But mostly what I'm doing is kind of bringing what's in the vein, kind of bringing it out a little bit and creating kind of some little runaway veins, little tiny veins. Like I said, I'm just creating a little bit of visual interest there. I've got so much working time with this product, and I actually want it to start setting up before I do any of this. So I'm ensuring that that pattern is going to stay and not move. So pretty. I may even come in with a very random vein and just drag it out until there's really nothing left on my stick, kind of connecting the two veins together. That little tiny detail is what sets these pieces apart. All right, last thing, I think what I'm going to do is just hit it with a little bit of alcohol over the vein, get a little bit more fracturing, a little bit more cells, and then we'll call it a day. All right, I am walking away, guys. I'm taking my gloves off. I'm walking away. No more touching it. Walking away, Rhonda. Here it is. Absolutely beautiful. This looks like a really difficult piece, but it is so incredibly easy. If you will just remember to take your time, you're not in a hurry. Use your magic trowel just to kind of get those colors to spread out very softly. Add a little bit of alcohol and just let the epoxy do its thing. Let the epoxy show you the next step. Don't rush. If you rush, we really lose a lot of the ability to watch the epoxy kind of morph into its design. So take your time. You have plenty of time. Once you get that epoxy out of your bucket, that's the important part. So mix it, get it out of the bucket, get it onto the surface, and then you've got a long time. We've been working on this almost, I would say, a little over an hour from the time that we mixed our epoxy. Okay, well, let me know, guys. What do you think? Would you do these colors? Would you have added this copper down the middle? I was real skeptical at first when she showed me a photo, and I'm really glad that we did this. I love it. Tomorrow we'll come in here, we'll apply a flood coat of just clear epoxy at 3 ounces per square foot, and then the homeowner wants to do a matte finish with the matte UTC. The reason they want matte is they have a lot of windows in this kitchen and a lot of natural light, so there's going to be a lot of reflection, and so they want to kind of cut down on that glare. And it's very, very, very durable. It doesn't show fingerprints, watermarks from your glasses. So I think she's made the right call by choosing matte. But we will meet you back here tomorrow and let you see what we're doing. All right, so for all of my former students that are watching this, you guys have actually done this finish. We call it the tortoiseshell. Now, we've taken it to the next level by bringing in our copper, and we did add some of the chestnut, which we didn't do in class. But I absolutely love it. And now you guys can see by taking these techniques that we teach you in class and applying it and making it your own and adding even more fun things to it, how you can really come up with some beautiful designs. So anyone out there that wants to learn how to do this, check out our classes. Check out rk3designs.com. Okay, it's been 24 hours and our top is nice and cured, and it's time to go to the next step, which is to apply a clear flood coat. The flood coat is the exact same product that we used in our first layer in our color coat, but we're not going to add any kind of colorant. Also, one thing about the flood coat is very seldom is your color coat going to be flawless. It's going to be wavy. It may or may not have dimples. Your flood coat is going to take care of all of that. And when done properly, your flood coat is going to come out like glass. If you want to get into more detail on how to apply a flawless flood coat, I do have a video specifically addressing a flood coat. I'll link that in the description of this video. All right, so this is one of the imperfections that I'm talking about. I've got a little bit on the surface. So all I'm going to do, take my sandpaper. I'm using 220. And I'm just gonna sand that flat, and those are the kind of imperfections that I like to be able to take care of. All right, so this is just a regular 220. For my edges, I like to use these Scotch-Brite pads, and that way I can make sure that I'm not gonna burn through my layer of epoxy on my edges. All you're trying to do is scuff up and get rid of that sheen. So we've mixed up 3 ounces per square foot of our regular stone coat epoxy or our art coat. Either one is acceptable. If you're doing white, you'll definitely want to use the art coat. Once I mix it up, I'll pour it out. And for large areas, I do often use our 1/8 notch trowel. If I'm doing a small area, I'll just use my hand. Now, I don't chop with a brush. I do use my hands to kind of spread it out. That's for 2 reasons. 1, I know I'll never get a bristle if I don't use a brush. 2, with my hand, I can tell where I have highs and low areas. Also, if there's any debris in the epoxy, I'm able to feel it and pick it out. Once I've got it all over the surface, I'll run it over the edges. Take my hand, again, rub those edges and push the epoxy up under the edge so that the epoxy will flow all the way under and not leave that ledge. Once I have it all poured out, I'll torch 3 times to get out any bubbles, leaving about 1 to 2 minutes in between each torching. You want to be very mindful. Don't get your product too hot. It'll cause it to be very fluid, or you could burn it. A reminder also to you guys, you don't want to tape your edges when you're doing a flood coat because you're only using 3 ounces per square foot. If you tape your edges and allow that epoxy to start thickening up, when you pull the tape, you're not going to have enough product on the edge to roll over and give you nice edges. Remember, we only tape our edges if we're using at least 5 to 6 ounces per square foot or more. Once my flood coat is complete, I'll turn off all of the airflow in the room. I'll also turn off the light so that I don't get bugs, see the reflection, and end up in my epoxy. I'm not really worried about dust bunnies if I know that I'm going to be going to the next step, which is applying my ultimate top coat, because any dust that lands on the surface, I know that I'll be sanding it out anyway, and that will alleviate any issues. All right, so we're gonna finish up on the rest of the countertops, let it sit for 24 hours, and we'll come back tomorrow and apply the ultimate top coat. All right, guys, what do you think? Absolutely beautiful. A flood coat takes it to the next level, not only with your durability, but just the depth that it gives. I absolutely love it. All right, let me know. What would you do, matte or gloss? I know we're gonna do matte on this. That's what the homeowners have requested, but what would you do? Leave me a comment down below. All right, getting ready to do the ultimate top coat. The homeowner wants matte. So I've prepped my pan. I have it lined with our press and seal. I've de-shed the rollers, and now it's time to measure. So guys, if you are interested in a really good tutorial on how to do the ultimate top coat, we will link 2 videos and the PDF that we use. We will link it in the description of this video. All right, so here we go, 2 to 1. 4 ounces of part A, 2 ounces of part B, and then 1 ounce of warm water. We use warm water, especially when the temperatures are cooler outside. It just kind of helps with our mixing. Stir this up first, and then we'll add our water. Now it's important to hand stir this. Don't use a mixer. The product is going to be very thick, and if you're doing gloss, it's going to be even thicker than this. All right, now we're going to add our water. Like I said, 1 ounce. With our matte, with your gloss, you're going to add quite a bit more water. And all of that information is on the PDF that we're going to provide. Now, once you mix part A and part B together, we are on the clock. We have got 15 minutes max time. So it's important that you don't mix up too much product at one time. Break your pieces up into different steps. All right, we're going to have a wet roller, and I've prepped 2 dry rollers. All right, here we go. We found that when doing these projects, it's really good to have a helper, have 2 people, one doing a wet roll and one coming back doing a dry roller. All right, so we've applied the UTC and we're gonna wait 24 hours, let that dry fully, and give it at least 2 days before we do an install. So guys, we don't have any install videos right now on YouTube, but stay tuned, they'll be coming soon. So don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell, so that way you guys will know every time we upload a new video. Okay, I'm here with the homeowner, Wanda. I've known Wanda for close to 20 years. I actually used to give you riding lessons, right?
Yes, you did.
I did. So Wanda, tell me a little bit about the process of why you even called me, why you wanted epoxy, kind of all of the changes that you've done.
Okay.
Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've been watching you for a while since you started doing this and just seeing all the pretty stuff. And the one thing that stood out was when you did that big oven hood.
Oh, I did a vent hood, yes. Uh-huh.
Beautiful. So then I thought, when I start remodeling my house, I'm going to get Rhonda to come over here. So we went back and forth because we didn't know how we were going to rearrange the kitchen. And then the kitchen was all here. There was a breakfast table here, and then there was a little living room over here. So we flipped the whole kitchen and opened it up so that we could use our fireplace more.
And I remember when I walked in thinking to myself, because at first we were going to do an on-site pour. We weren't even going to refabricate everything. And I remember telling myself, wow, this was going to be a big job because of the way everything was laid out. When you reached back out to me and I came and looked at what y'all did, I was blown away. It was amazing. So tell us a little bit, how did you decide what you wanted as far as your design? I remember asking you to give me some inspirations. Kind of tell us a little bit how you did that.
I went to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not real good at, if you show me something, I'll say, okay, I like that, but I've got to have an idea. I can't come up. So I came to your house and looked at some of the stuff, and I saw the one hanging.
Yeah, and that's how you decided that you liked it, right?
And you added in some colors because
Yep.
you knew what color scheme I was going with, and so
Yep.
you did it, and I loved it. And
Oh, well, thank you. So what we ended up doing is when I did talk to you is I asked a lot of questions. I came and looked at the house to see what elements were going to stay in the house and what elements were going to be changing. And that's how we kind of decided, because I remember we wanted some copper, but we didn't want copper throughout the whole kitchen because it was going to be kind of overbearing. So that's how we kind of picked and chose. And I already knew what appliances she had and what fixtures she had. So we just kind of put it all together. I did a few sample boards and you approved them.
yes,
And we moved forward. So what do you think?
I love it.
You love it?
When I do my other ones, I'm going to do it again.
All right, good.
So, and Peyton's been asking, my son's been asking about countertops. The best thing about it is when I put a pan on it, I don't have to worry about it
Scorching.
Yes.
Another happy customer, and I am so thrilled with the way this turned out. And I'm glad, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hey guys, what do you think? I am thrilled at how this project turned out. It was a long time coming, and a lot of design elements went into this, but it is absolutely one of our favorite installs. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think? So when Wanda came up to me and told me all of the colors that she wanted, we took all of those elements, we put them into one design. I used the fireplace stone, the color of the floor, the color of the appliances, the color of the fixtures. We put it all together, and that's how we came up with this design. I know she wanted a little bit of copper because that's what was on her faucets, and so we brought a little bit of copper as an accent into the one main focal piece of the room. We discussed it, and I feel that if we would have put that copper throughout the whole kitchen, that it would have kind of overwhelmed the area. So I'm really happy the way the countertop turned out with that one accent piece, and I think we nailed it. Subscribe to our channel. We're almost at 100,000, and we're looking for you to help us get over the hump. Until next week, remember guys, don't be scared, move forward, and be creative.